The pop music world has lost another giant figure. Robin Gibb of the Bee Gees died Sunday after a long battle with cancer.
It's just because we've been doing so much together as the Bee Gees that I never really had the opportunity to do that, or really the desire. I mean, yeah, I felt like it, but it was like April this year, I woke up one morning and thought, yeah, all right, I'll do it.
There was something about that song, not just the melody, but the way it cut through him, as if every note reached into a place he had spent his whole life protecting. Something raw, something private, almost too heavy for one man to carry. But what was it? What song could break Robin Gibb when nothing else in the world could? Why did this one piece of music reach him in a coma when doctors and medicine could not? The answer is not simple. It's haunting. It's beautiful. And it's something you will never forget once you hear the full story. So stay with us through this entire video, because by the end, you will understand why one song pulled Robin Gibb back from the edge, and why the song he created in response became his final promise to everyone he loved.
For once in your life, you're alone.
A tenor built from glass. The thing about Robin Gibb's voice was never the range. Plenty of singers could hit those high notes. What Robin had was different. That trembling, fragile quality you hear in songs like I Started a Joke or Massachusetts wasn't a trick. It wasn't studio polish. It was the man himself bleeding through the microphone. This is a key detail because it changes everything about why one specific song could break him decades later. See, Robin had what bandmates and producers described as a voice that refused to lie. When he sang sadness, he was sad. When he sang loneliness, he meant it. Engineers who worked with the Bee Gees through the 1960s and 70s often mentioned how Robin would push his voice until the note physically cracked, not because he wanted drama, but because holding the emotion back hurt him more than letting it out. Basically, his sensitivity was his superpower, and his curse rolled into one. This is why fame hit him differently than it hit Barry or Maurice. Robin felt the isolation of stardom in ways most people cannot imagine. While other rock stars partied through the 70s, Robin retreated into himself. He read history books. He wrote ballads alone at night. He once said he felt most alive when he was creating something that made him feel something real. And get this, that same vulnerability meant ordinary heartbreaks hit him like apocalypses. A bad review could ruin him for weeks. A failed song could send him into a months-long writing spiral. What most people don't realize is that emotional wiring shaped everything that came later. The reason one particular song, could later reach him through a coma is because Robin had spent 50 years training his nervous system to respond to music more deeply than most people respond to actual human touch. Sounds dramatic, but the people closest to him would tell you it was just the truth. Hands down, the real kicker is, Robin himself acknowledged this in interviews throughout his life. He spoke about how certain songs by other artists could ruin his day, or save it, depending on the mood. Roy Orbison topped that list. Robin had loved Orbison since he was a kid, back in the late 1950s. The voice, the orchestration, the operatic sorrow of it all, that was Robin's blueprint. So when his wife reached for an Orbison song in 2012, she wasn't guessing. She knew exactly which key would unlock him. But here's the catch. All this sensitivity had a cost no one talks about. Robin was already carrying so much grief by the time cancer arrived. The voice that the world loved was the same voice that made him most vulnerable to a song whose raw plea mirrored his deepest unspoken fears: abandonment, ending, being forgotten. Cancer was the loudest threat, but it wasn't his first heartbreak.
In different ones, and they've been brought around to all the. I know. Yes, here we are in the Warners. The roof of Warner Brothers. Yes, really nice up here, isn't it? It's a lovely day.
One half of a whole. Robin and Maurice were twins, not just brothers, not just bandmates, twins in the truest sense of the word. They were born 35 minutes apart on December 22nd, 1949, and from that day forward, they finished each other's sentences, both in conversation and in song. Studio engineers from the Bee Gees' peak years often described how the twins would write melodies without speaking. One would hum a phrase, the other would complete it. No discussion needed. Maurice played multi-instrumental backbone. Robin sang the heart. Together, they formed an emotional engine that powered some of the most beloved music of the 20th century. And here is the part that everyone misses. Robin needed Maurice more than the world ever realized. Maurice was the one person on Earth who understood the tremble in Robin's voice without having to ask about it. Then, in January of 2003, the unthinkable happened. Maurice collapsed from complications of a twisted intestine, the same kind of digestive problem that would eventually hit Robin nearly a decade later. He was 53 years old. Within days, he was gone. Robin was devastated in a way that words could not really capture. He publicly stated that the Bee Gees as a trio could not continue, that the band identity died with Maurice. The one harmony that always slotted perfectly against his own was silent forever. But here's the thing. Robin did not stop creating. He could not stop. Music was the only place he had ever felt fully understood, and now it was also the only place he could still talk to his brother. He poured himself into solo projects. He collaborated more deeply with his son, Robin John, on classical compositions. He started writing music that felt bigger, more orchestral, more reaching for something eternal. Looking back, that was the red flag. Robin was already starting to think about legacy, about permanence, about what gets left behind when someone you love just stops existing. He told friends he could still hear Maurice's harmony in his head when he sang certain notes. He said it was both comforting and unbearable. And then, just when you thought it was over, life began circling Robin with the same warning signs Maurice had ignored. Stomach pain, intestinal twisting. The doctors said it was treatable. They said he would be fine. Then came the cancer diagnosis in 2010, colon cancer that had already spread to his liver. It's not that simple, though. Cancer didn't just attack Robin's body. It attacked the part of him that had spent 9 years grieving his twin. Now he was facing the possibility of being the second Gibb to die from the same family of digestive problems. The terror was not just dying. It was repeating his brother's exact ending. And that's when the universe handed him one final test he never saw coming. The coma that music walked into. By April of 2012, Robin Gibb had fought cancer for almost 2 years. Then came the emergency surgery for an intestinal blockage, the exact same condition that had destroyed Maurice. Robin survived the operation, but pneumonia set in during recovery. Within days, he slipped into a coma. Doctors at the London hospital pulled the family aside. They told Dwina, Robin's wife of 2.5 decades, that she needed to prepare for the worst. They told his children, his brother Barry, and the rest of the family that Robin might not wake up. The crazy part is, the man who had been declared near death was still in there. Somewhere. Behind the failing organs and the silent body, Robin was listening. Barry flew in from his home and sat at the bedside. He sang to his brother. Old harmonies, old melodies, songs they had created together in the 1960s when they were just kids dreaming about the future. The nurses noticed something. Robin's vitals would shift slightly when Barry sang, not enough to celebrate, but enough to notice. Then Dwina made a decision that would become legendary in the Gibb family story. She brought a cassette. She pressed play. And the opening orchestral strings of Roy Orbison's Crying filled the hospital room. Within seconds, tears began rolling down Robin's face. Nurses gasped. Family members froze. Robin had not moved or responded to stimulus in days. But the song, that particular song, with its operatic ache and its plea for someone lost, broke through whatever wall the coma had built. His eyes stayed closed. His body stayed still. But the tears were real. They kept coming. This is the moment doctors could not explain. The brain on the brink of shutting down should not produce emotional tears. Yet Robin's body responded as if every cell remembered the song. As if some part of him that medicine could not measure recognized the call and answered. What happened next surprised even the medical team. Robin slowly, over the following days, began to wake up. First he started nodding. Then he opened his eyes. Then he was able to communicate with his family. Weakly but consciously. The press picked up the story. Dwina later told local reporters that the song had, quote, been the key, that the tears flowed immediately upon hearing the opening notes after days of complete silence. Now, here is where the story takes a hard left. The coma was not a one-and-done crisis. Robin had brief windows of lucidity over the following weeks, but the cancer kept advancing. The doctors were honest. They told him he had weeks, maybe a couple of months. And Robin, the man who had just been pulled back from death by one song, made a decision. He was going to make one more song himself, one last melody. Not for charts, not for radio, but for the people he was about to leave behind. A song that would do for them what Crying had just done for him. He started writing while tears were still drying on his face. The track he created was not for fans. It was for his family, and it would survive him. A promise carved into sound. The song was called Don't Cry Alone. Robin had actually started shaping it earlier as part of a larger project called The Titanic Requiem, a classical work he had been composing alongside his son, Robin John. The Requiem premiered at the Westminster Central Hall on April 10, 2012, marking the 100th anniversary of the Titanic disaster. Robin was too sick to attend the premiere of his own work. But this song, Don't Cry Alone, was something else, something more personal. The lyrics are short, simple, almost like a lullaby someone whispers to a frightened child. If your heart is breaking, the song promises, I am yours, whatever happens. I will not forsake you, ever. Don't cry alone. There are still many rumors in the air, but what many can confirm is that Robin recorded those vocals knowing they might be his last. The voice on the final take is fragile, almost breaking in places. You can hear the cancer in it. You can hear the exhaustion, but you can also hear the resolve, the same resolve that had pulled him out of the coma weeks earlier. A lot of people are confused about what makes this song different from any other deathbed ballad. The answer lies in who it was for. This was not a song about Robin's own ending. He never once sings about himself in those lyrics. Every line is directed outward, to the listener, to his wife, to his children, to anyone who would survive him. It was a shield he was building with his last breath of creative energy. What most people don't realize is, Robin understood something most dying artists never figure out. He had just experienced what one perfect song could do for a person on the edge. Roy Orbison's Crying had reached him through a coma. So Robin knew, with absolute certainty, that the right song could reach the grieving in moments when nothing else could. he was essentially leaving behind a tool for his loved ones to use after he was gone. Robin John has spoken about working with his father during those final sessions. He has said that his dad refused to phone in the vocal, refused to let his sickness shape the performance. Robin sang it the way he had always sung, with everything he had, until there was nothing left to give. The track was finished. The promise was sealed. And then, on May 20th, 2012, Robin Gibb passed away. He was 62 years old. Robin John has shared in interviews since then that he played "I Started a Joke" at his father's bedside during those final hours. But "Don't Cry Alone" was the proactive farewell, the song Robin had crafted on purpose for everyone he was leaving. It was released posthumously on the album 50 St. Catherine's Drive in 2014, named after the family home in Manchester, where the Gibb story had begun decades earlier. The song did not chase hits. It did not need to. It was already doing exactly what Robin built it to do, comforting the people he had loved when he could no longer be there to comfort them in person. But the song's real work was just beginning. When a voice refuses to stay silent. The story moves from the private sadness of one family to a much larger global event. In the years since Robin died, the song titled "Don't Cry Alone" has become very popular at funerals, hospice centers, and private moments of grief. Many people share this music during their most difficult times because it offers a sense of comfort that is hard to find elsewhere. Fans talk about how listening to the track feels like a person is reaching out to support them when they are falling apart. Every year in May, more people leave comments on the song to remember Robin and his impact. They talk about losing their parents, their siblings, or their children. They say the song appeared in their lives at the perfect moment to help them heal. This piece of music started as a small gift for his own family, but it has turned into a way for thousands of strangers to feel less alone in their pain. Barry Gibb is the oldest brother and the only one left from the group. He keeps the memory of Robin alive by playing his music in concerts and during special tributes. Barry has talked about how hard it is to be the only brother who is still alive. 3 of his brothers, Andy, Maurice, and Robin, are all gone now. He says that when he sings certain songs on stage, he feels like his brothers are standing right there next to him. This is a very strong feeling that helps him keep going even when things are difficult. We should take a moment to look at this part of the story. You might have come here looking for a simple answer about why a song can make someone cry. The real story is more complicated than a simple answer. Robin Gibb spent many years training his mind and his emotions. He learned how to turn his personal pain into music that other people could understand. His body and his brain were ready to react to music even when he was very sick. His body knew how to cry and how to create beauty from that sadness because he had practiced it for his whole life. There are still many things that we do not fully understand about what happened during those final days. Scientists wonder how a person who is in a deep sleep like a coma can have tears when they hear a song. Some people think it was just the music that caused the reaction. Others think it was the love of his wife, Dwina, that made the difference. It is likely that all these things happened at the same time. Music and love work together in ways that are hard to explain. However, there are even stranger ideas about why this happened. Some people believe that the Gibb brothers were part of a secret natural harmony. They think the 3 brothers had voices that could change how the human body works. This theory says that when they sang together, they created a special sound wave that could heal broken hearts or even wake up a brain that has stopped working. Another wild idea involves the singer Roy Orbison. Some theorists think Roy Orbison discovered a specific note that connects our world to the next one. They believe that Robin heard this specific note while he was in his coma, and it acted like a key in a lock. It opened a door that allowed his soul to stay connected to his body for a little while longer. This would mean that the song Crying was not just entertainment. Instead, it was a piece of technology made of sound. People who believe this think that Robin wrote Don't Cry Alone to leave a similar key for the rest of us. They say he wanted to make sure there was a bridge waiting for anyone else who felt lost in the dark. Some fans have an even more unusual theory about how the song was created. They suggest that Robin did not write the song in the usual way. They think that while he was in the coma, he experienced time differently. In this theory, he saw his whole life and the future of his fans all at once. He felt the combined sadness of everyone who would ever miss him. He then sent those feelings back into the past so he could write the song before he got sick. This would mean the song is a message from the future version of himself to his family. It would explain why the lyrics seem to know exactly what people need to hear when they are grieving. It makes the song more than just a recording. It makes it a loop of love that never ends. Was Robin saved by music, or did love itself wear a melody that day? Tell me your take in the comments. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden truths behind the legends.